spent the entire car ride home thinking about how to talk about this book, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I think it's time to bust out the pins in the paper. Oh gosh, it's my own fault for not watching Full Metal Alchemist before I read this book. This is the best thing I've ever done. I need some visual cues to help me explain this book. I think this is the way I need to start off. On an enjoyment scale, I'm putting this at a 4.0. However, at a critical scale, 3.5. That would be the official Goodreads, because I loved the first half of this book. Second half, it was just a smooth country road in the second half. The first half was where all the roller coaster drops and plummets and valleys and mountains were at. So let's start at the beginning. Middlegame. Why is it called Middlegame? No idea. Probably should Google that, but I'm not. This is called a Hand of Glory, the creepiest thing you will ever come across. It's made from a severed, dead human who had to be murdered. You take their hand, you light it on fire, and it makes you practically invisible. Good for assassination. There are Hands of Glories made by 6-year-olds, as in a dead 6-year-old's hand in this book. I want you to meditate on that. My hand matches it's almost as pale. But that's not what I meant to say. The deaths in this book. Again, I love the deaths, as weird as it is to say, in the first half, because there's a bunch of killing in this book. In the second half, a pet peeve, they were abrupt. But let me get to the beginning. Okay, so this book is all about alchemy. And now the way the world works, this is the universe. In the universe, there's something called the Doctrine of Ethos. Now, in this universe of alchemy, we have two crazy people, James Reed and Leigh. I would say these people are this book's equivalent to homunculus. They were created by alchemists. James Reed killed his mentor, she killed her mentor, and they decided they want to take the doctrine of ethos, what keeps the world in order, the great balancing scales of everything. They want to put the doctrine into two human bodies that they made, and they want to control it so they can obtain godhood and mortality. I'm putting it in very layman terms right now. So, through some alchemy, James Reed and Leigh, they managed to take the doctrine and put it into two newborn babies. These babies are Roger and Dodger. Now, the doctrine can be separated into two halves. Language, what Roger represents, and math, what Dodger represents. Now, for some reason, James Reed, who is the major villain of this tale, and who actually scared me in the first half of the book, not in the second half. Leigh is his right-hand woman. And she cray, she'd kill you. I loved her. She was my favorite, probably, not counting the twins. But James Reed, he has a stupid villain plan. He's like, well, if we want the doctrine of ethos to manifest, we need to split the twins and let them grow on their own for a while until they're ready to come together and be enslaved by my master plan. And Leigh, crazy but sensible, she's like, why don't we just keep them here in the lab where we can, watch them, make sure they don't accidentally find each other before they're ready. And Reed's like, no, we're gonna take the kids and we're gonna separate them, and then we're gonna put one on the East Coast and this one on the West Coast. So for years, the doctrine of ethos goes about its other half. But then when they are 7 years old, little Roger, this one, discovers that he can communicate with a girl thousands of miles away in California. Is she an imaginary friend, or is she so much more? Read the book to find out. Will James Reed evil plan to dominate the universe by using the doctrine in these poor, frail bodies? Will it come to fruition? Will he bend these malleable children to his whim? Will he obtain godhood? Is Leigh cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Yes. Let's get into it some more. First things first, this book does have triggers for self-harm and suicide, and I'm kind of mad at one of the characters for not how to say this. The character who knew the other character was about to kill him or herself that character who knew called the authorities. Nice. But he knew before then that the character who attempted to take their life was harboring pills and razor blades. Why you didn't stop him or her sooner? You of all people could have stopped it before it got momentum. But anyways, this book is one of the books where you will go in knowing nothing, and you will come out knowing half of nothing. Maybe it's because I myself do not practice alchemy. But the lady who created James Reed, she was a phenomenal alchemist. Her name was, I can't pronounce her first name, so we're gonna call her Baker, her last name. Baker. She took all of the alchemical, all the teachings of alchemy, and she transformed it into a kid series called Over the Woodward Wall. In that book, it doesn't exist in the real world, but it's constantly referenced throughout Middlegame. I guess I don't like things that are referenced that don't exist, because it's not explained what a jackdaw is, what exactly a crow girl is, what a drowned girl is in the books, who the Page of Waters, King of Cups, so many just metaphors that didn't really need to be there. But the thing I absolutely loved about this book was Roger and Dodger. I loved them. I liked the telekinetic twins thing they got going on. The first half of this book, where they're living separate lives, East Coast and West Coast, but they can communicate. Those are my favorite parts. Trying to decide if the other person's an imaginary character, if they're going insane, if this is a weird side effect of quantum entanglement, whatever that is, while all their parents are just like operating behind the curtains, like knowing these children are meant for something more, cultivating them, feeding Roger his love of languages. He has a special persuasive power. He can get people to do what he wants them to do if he really, really wants them to do it. Dodger, she is a whiz at math. She can look around, really just tell you everything down to the liters of dust in the air. Does that make sense? She can tell you how much weight of dust is floating around the air. I love these characters. I really like the villains in the beginning, because James Reed, Mr. Cool but Shady, he was scary in the beginning. And the whole point of this book is to get Dodger and Roger to manifest, because right now they're just children. They don't know their powers. They're trying to, but it's taking time, and they're separated. They gotta be together. So while Dodger and Roger are trying to get together, wondering if they should, because bad things could happen. Everyone, the villains, one of the side characters, Erin, one of my favorite characters too, because she took nothing from nobody. Dodger and Roger, the main goal is to manifest, become these gods of power, the incarnate forms of the universe at large. No one could stop them if they were like that. But ultimately, when you hit that halfway mark in the book, after a certain major event happens that gets a lot of people weeped, it sort of plummets. Like that goal of manifestation, it does not come to a satisfying resolution. And I know that if I reread this book, I would just read the first half, where the character development is happening, where all the machinations of the villains are operating around our heroes. In the second half, my least favorite thing comes to existence. Oh my gosh, time travel. I do not like time travel. Space-time continuum. I do not like Endgame, because I do not like it when people mess with time. It's too confusing. And it was confusing in this book. Everything was confusing in this book, but it had that good confusing. Not that plot hole confusion, just this, I don't know what's going on here, but it's shiny, and I like it. So I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book, but things could have been nipped and tucked during that last half, and we could have gotten a better resolution. I honestly can't remember how this book ended. I sort of can. I'm pretty sure it was like one of those walking into the sunset things. And I read this 2 days ago. That's how unremarkable the ending was. But it's ultimately up for you to decide. Again, read it for the characters. Get it from your library. Find out why it's called Middlegame, because I still don't know. This is the author of Every Heart a Doorway. Pretty sure a lot of people love that book. Haven't read it, but heard of it. And if you're a fan of her writing style, go for it. Fun book. Have no idea why there's a little spaceship on the cover. Spaceships are not talked about in this book. There's also, my lights keep falling down, I'm sorry. There's also one thing that I found sort of amusing in this book. Dodger and Roger, obviously they're twins, but do they know they're twins? Not until that event that happens that separates the first half and the second half of this book. So the author goes out of her way to tell you that they're not in love, they're platonically friends. They're not in love. They have a love, but it's not that kind of love. Like every other chapter, they're not in love, but they love each other. I get it! I'm in the know! Stop reminding me! I know they're brother and sister. I'm not expecting them to Luke and Leia here. I have to say overall, Leigh is my favorite character. I love Roger. I love Dodger. But she's like the thriller villain that I like. Like she pops out of somewhere and you're instantly on her toes. You don't know what she's gonna do to you. That's it, everybody. I really hope you go and give Middlegame. Please give Middlegame a chance. If you like some sci-fi fantasy, this is for you. If you like vague alchemy terms, it's for you. If you like people getting their hands cut off to serve the maddest mad woman out there in the known universe, oh, I have a gift. It's for you. Good night and good day, everyone. I am Casey. Thank you for listening, and until next time, keep turning pages. Best drawing in the world.